Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together, we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Join us for authentic conversations about the global yoga ecosystem, and we'll cover yoga philosophies and methodologies along the way. Inhale, exhale. We're about to dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm here today with Ruta Keriane, and she is from Lithuania. She actually has her own yoga studio in a small town in Lithuania called Mažeikiai, and it has a population, she said, of about 20,000 people. The name of her studio is Soham, and I first met Ruta at Punyah Yoga in Rishikesh back in the summer or spring of 2019. I was doing an Ashtanga Alignment and Adjustment course, and Ruta was getting her 200-hour yoga teacher training certification. And what I was so impressed with Ruta is that she started doing yoga and then immediately got trained a very short time. And then she immediately opened a yoga studio. I just thought that was so incredible and bold and brave. And she is definitely a tenacious practitioner. And I'm so excited to welcome her here onto the podcast today. Thank you, Ruta, for being with us.
Thank you, Lily, for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so happy we're doing this. So I would love to hear, just for starters, how did you get started doing yoga? What first attracted you to the practice?
Actually, all my experience I call just a flow. Like everything in the yoga and with the yoga, it's a flow. So everything started accidentally, actually. So I was working in a big oil refinery as a manager for many years, like 25 years. And I was doing the job. I was not happy, but I was so much afraid to lose my work. And I was dreaming about someone could kick me off it. So because I'm scared to do the first step myself. And it's the law of attraction works. Either you do yoga or not, for everyone. So I was thinking about that, and it happened. They just asked me to leave the company without any reason, without any explanation. They said just, well, thank you, and we don't need you anymore. And my reaction was, wow, I was dreaming about that, and it was so fun. And so I felt like all doors are open now, only when this one just closed. And I was searching for what I'm going to do now. And again, by the accident or not, but at the same time, I had near me my friend. We was not very close, but I was following her on the Facebook, and she was like inspiring me. She was doing trips. She went to Nepal many times. She was practitioner of the meditation and things like this. And I saw her change of life. So she divorced because she had unhappy marriage. She quit very profitable, good, and important position job. And she started to dance. She went to Cuba, I think, South America, and she learned how to dance. And I was like, wow, I was like jealous in a good, in a good way. I thought she's free, she's free. This is the most important, to be free and do what you love to do. So I called her and I asked for advice. She said, okay, would you like to do a passion test? I said, yes, of course. I want and like to do everything new, everything what could help me to find my new way. And we did this passion test. It's a long story how it's, methodology to do that. But the most important, the outcome that I've got. I've got completely different approach. The passion test shows you the passion of your heart. Actually, you may think that you want one thing in your life, but your heart knows what you want. And this test helps you to discover it, to pull it out of your heart. But the first three was very surprising. I was never even thinking in my mind about this. And the very first, the strongest passion was to travel alone. I'm telling you word by word, to travel alone in Asia or somewhere in the East, with the aim to find myself, to find the way, to discover life. Okay, and the second wish was create a blog and write. I love writing, and I wished, to write something somewhere. And the third one was to go and work with my husband together somewhere abroad. So, but after I found this, the most important, the main passion, I forget all other. So I concentrated on this, that I want to travel alone or solo to Asia, to somewhere, and find something. All around people, they think they know better than you. And of course, better than your heart. So everyone started to giving me advices. Okay, you're doing sports so well. Go somewhere alone, like Spain. Go by bicycle or hiking or something, but very physically active. But I said, no, I don't feel I want to do this. I want something deeper, something for my soul, not for my body anymore. I said, no, okay, stop. I don't have to search and listen to other people. I have to find it in my heart. I put in the Google just solo trips, spiritual, and so many links with word yoga appeared on the screen. And I never did yoga before. Actually, I did once. I get trauma and I stopped forever. I thought it's never will be for me. But here, all the first page of Google, I see yoga, 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 India, yoga, India. And my heart become, like crazy. I thought my heart will go out through my mouth outside, and all body was like feeling, like sensing that this is what you need. And they said, and my mind said, no, no, no. You remember you went once in the class and you was complaining that, there's nothing to do. It's just for lazy people. And you just laying and you finally get trauma because you are perfectionist. And if you're doing a candle, you want to do it at once without any breathing, without any. So, but, my mind at that time couldn't argue with the heart. I felt that it's mine. And I become quiet, and then I started to search where to go. So again, I put in the Google yoga studio Rishikesh. Somehow I also felt like, because my husband was telling, why are you going to Rishikesh? Go to Goa. There are more like spa retreats, and you can just relax there. Why do you want to go and be a teacher? Just go have fun. I said, no, I feel I have to go to Rishikesh, and I have to go for teacher trainings. And I found a picture of Ludvikas. Actually, Lily, you also know Ludvikas from Lithuania. And I didn't know him at that time. I contacted him. I saw that the name and the surname is Lithuanian, and I find him on Facebook and just messaged him. Ludvikas, I saw your picture. You went to this and this yoga school in India. Would you recommend me this? And he answered, no, don't go there. Go to Punyah Yoga. And he gave me the contact for Hemanji. And I emailed him, and we just agreed in few hours. And my tickets was bought on the same day. So I was waiting for that school. without knowing what yoga is. But I just felt that this is my new way, and I'm so happy about that.
That's beautiful. I love the whole trajectory, the whole journey, your whole story of just kind of saying you embraced the flow, and when a door closed, instead of, panicking or spiraling, you just immediately saw it as endless opportunities. And I also really admire, Ruta, that all the people who were telling you, oh, you should do this, do that, do this, do that, you really seemed very strong and able to tune them out and tune into yourself. That's no easy task always.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were traumatized in one yoga class one time and never did it again until you decided, you felt called to yoga through. I loved how you said your heart went to your mouth, like you just felt it. You were supposed to do that. That's what trust you kind of had. You took one class and didn't like it. How did you know that it was time? I mean, was it just that gut reaction?
Just feeling, sensing, feeling. I didn't know. Even then, without knowing, what does it mean to mute your mind? It happened. Because when you take this flow, everything helps you to be in without even knowing. Sometimes, we need to grow ourselves, to listen more, to be more attentive to inside of you, to real you, to mute the mind. Because many people have many situations when the flow takes them, but they just resist too much. And this was the main lesson I wanted to learn with yoga.
Is muting your mind. I mean, that sounds very, very strong. Just kind of turning it all off and grounding down, listening to your belly and your heart. Because I do believe we have three senses of perception, three ways that we can see the world or interact with the world. It's from that kind of belly, the internal, absorption, the knowing, the ego, the sense of I, then the heart, this kind of free flowing abundance, and the mind with the concentration, the focus, the mental activity. Do you feel like before you were even on the spiritual path, before you even learned yoga, officially, how did you learn about that? Or was there a teacher before that, a meditation, a spiritual guide? I'm curious.
No, actually, maybe this is why I was very open. And as my teacher, Hemanji, I was trying to explain him that you have to teach me everything because I never meditate. I was passionate about to learn what is that and how to do this. I never tried. I had no teachers before. I just so dramatically needed to start living. I had a very bad situation with psychological health. I was not depressed, but I had a very high level of anxiety. So I was on antidepressants. I was trying to help myself to live because before that I was too narrow, too strong, too perfectionist. I had very high requirements to myself and, of course, to my family, to my surrounding, and it was very difficult for me. So years by years, I felt like I cannot live anymore. I don't want to live anymore because I was so tired of, being, searching for ideal things without letting myself or others just live, just be, just flow. So this word flow and this sense and this experience of flow is the most important for me. And I received it. And when my teacher asked me what style of yoga you would like to learn, I said, well, I don't know what kind of styles you have. He said, yes, we have Ashtanga, we have Hatha. I said, okay, what's the difference? Okay, he said, Hatha, it's like more, not the different sequence, so it has some different rules. But Ashtanga is very strong, very powerful, and I'm the I'm the I forget this word in English, passionate. I am passionate actually about Ashtanga. I said, okay, then I do Ashtanga because I want my teacher to be passionate about what he teaches me. And he said, okay, so how many years you practice yoga? At least, any style or so. I said, I don't know. I never tried. And he said, and you want to become a teacher? You're good. You're at the right place. And I am so happy to have you because, it was not about, creating ideas of the mind, about future jobs no, it's just the flow. I never tried, but, I just feel like I have to be. And this was, very funny and very good. So I'm started from that. I was not experienced, and I think this helped me a lot because I went empty and really empty to the right place. So when you go to yoga in India, it's different because despite I never had teachers in here in Europe, I felt like I received more than just yoga, like asanas, like we all mostly understand. There I received the mindset, the example, staying with the family of my teacher, spending time, also helped me even without prior practice or experience to get deeply into that. And, I love it. And it's changed my life forever.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I feel very similarly about yoga in India. It's a very powerful practice or powerful tradition. And when you go to that root source, there's so much to learn more than, of course, the asana practice, the physical practice. And Himanji is an amazing teacher. And it really sounds like right student, right teacher, right time, as the saying goes.
The flow.
The flow. Yeah. When you just embrace it and dive in. And it sounds you were really using your instinct and following your intuition. And I wanted to ask too, do you consider it part of the flow that you felt called to open a yoga studio within was it a month or two or a couple months of finishing your training?
After I came back home from India, it was maybe just a week to be ready because even if it was not official yoga studio, I opened it in my house. So I offered free teachings like for a month or so I could practice more. Before I opened officially, I was teaching for free 3 times a day, 5 days a week. So I had really good chance to practice working with people who was not in India and they are not tried. Most of them, we live in a small town, so we didn't have much any of styles of yoga or anything similar to that. There was some tries to have yoga. Remember that I told you that I had even trauma, but it was more like, nobody taught us there to breathe. And this is the first thing, everything happens when you breathe, when you listen yourself, when you feel yourself. It was more like, I don't know, like physical actions, or I don't know how to call it correctly, but so I was passionate to have a studio that reflects a little of India. I knew that I'm not experienced. I was just months with a little with the yoga myself, but I didn't even think that I'm not enough to be a teacher, because I knew that I was in India and I took from there so many knowledge, not maybe knowledge of asanas, but knowledge of what is yoga. And it was enough to know that everyone can be a teacher, because what you teach, it's what you experience in your life. For me, yoga is a comparison of life and the mat. You know, it's so much similarities when you do on mat something and you feel something or think something. You later on you find so many things you do similar in life, in routine life, in your jobs, in your communication, and you do these parallels. And you know, and this yoga, it comes not like you're doing some gym for 1 hour, but you receive at the same time some physical activities. With Ashtanga, it's not even some, it's a lot. And you receive, you quiet your mind, you spend time with you get know better yourself and even others, because through yourself you understand others. So it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's space, you know, in the practice, and you know, the practice is just part, but you do yoga your all day. That, you know, it's not yoga practice. It's yoga, it's life. I'm even stopped criticizing myself that I'm doing wrong this, I'm doing not good enough this. I'm doing, and I'm learning from that. And I'm happy to recognize actions, recognize thoughts, recognize changes. And I feel it's like a life. I live. I'm alive, you know, because I can sense, I can feel, I can compare, I can, you know, you love yourself, you love everything, everybody, everything, and it's amazing. And, you know, your love generates much more love. And, you know, all this community, all people, all students who came, I never call them students, because we all students, we all teachers. And it was like society of people who came with open heart to find something deeper, something more meaningful. So I'm really happy that even despite the small town and not many people, but everyone who came and stayed, they were so worthful. And now we are friends, and we are, you know, going for a lunch, at least when I was still staying in Lithuania, for a lunch or for a tea, and we're discussing so deep things, and we're learning from each other. And, you know, I'm not a teacher more than anyone of my students' teachers are.
How did you find these people to join your classes? When you were just starting off then in your house, you said 3 classes a day, 5 days a week. That's incredible for any teacher. So it's a lot of time and energy. But how did you first kind of attract people to come and practice with you?
So I have many friends on Facebook, and, you know, all of those friends knew that I am in India. So some of them were already waiting for me to come back and teach them. So I had no big, you know, issue with that, especially this first month and something. It was free classes, because at least like 3-5 practices you need to do to start feeling something different. And later on, this was proved, you know, and people were saying that after first practice, many of them felt like, no way, it's too difficult for me. It's like, it's not for me. I am not flexible. I am not physically strong, so I cannot do. Oh no. Some of them was tried some yoga before, but never Ashtanga. In my small town, never ever someone heard about Ashtanga. So, but again, I was doing different sports. So I had friends, many friends in the sports teams, and like they even more liked Ashtanga. So again, we live in some kind of when my friends tried that, they loved Ashtanga. They said, "Oh, I never know that yoga can be so, physically demanding," or I don't know how to tell. And some of them complained that, no, I cannot participate in your practices because you saying opening and finishing mantras, so it's religion, it's something. So, and they said, could you please, I would recommend you to stop saying mantra, and I guarantee you that you will have more people who would come and stay. I said, no, I am here to show you the as authentic yoga as possible. Even me, I'm not that deep, or I was not spending that much time with yoga. So I'm learning together with you. I am only 1 millimeter far away from you because I've just started. So we're just learning together. And I was taught to teach like this. I cannot make, I cannot make my own design of Ashtanga yoga or any other yoga, So I'm here to show as authentic as possible. So I'd like you to stay for some longer time. But if it's not yours, if you feel that it's not time, then you can leave. But I will never change my approach. And so my practice was always not just asanas. We always did at least 15 minutes pranayama before, then asanas about hour 15 minutes, and then half hour meditation. So for some people, it was like, oh, it's too long. I have just 1 hour. So if I go to some gym, I just spend an hour and then I go. Could you please not do this and that? I said, no, I'm sorry, but you can come whenever you want. But if you want to experience the real yoga, not yoga, but the real practice, you have to do everything, because this is, in between. And, the yoga is continuation of pranayama, and meditation is continuation of yoga, and vice versa. So it's all related. And, but those few people who stayed all the time with me, they was just, they was so thankful that they could learn. They said, I would like to go to India, but it's too expensive and too far, and I cannot speak English or understand English. But we are so happy that you brought us at least a piece of experience that we never experienced before. So, and for me, it's enough. It was, I don't know who benefited more, me from teaching them from practices, or both, because I was, even when I started going to work, back to work in the office, in the evenings I did classes, and I was like waiting when the work will finish to go and teach, because this teaching was just sharing of my experience, of my feelings.
Wow. That's I'm kind of speechless. It sounds like it was such a transformative experience for you and for your students. And I just think it's very moving that you were able to bring this practice to them, to people who felt like they couldn't travel or couldn't speak English well enough, or, couldn't make that journey, that you brought the teachings back to them in such a way that just seems like you were just so vulnerable and so authentic, and saying, no, I'm not changing anything. I'm going to teach you as best as I can, as best as I know. But to be firm in that's very brave.
Yeah, maybe this is why it was not crowded. In my classes, it was not. It was periods. I was happy about that, because I could give much more attention to smaller groups, despite my ego of perfectionist, and with my love to be the best, the first, the most successful. I had some lessons, and I had some drama, in the first days, but this was the part of the lesson to me. So when you teaching as well as you doing anything else in your life, it's first of all lessons to you. But being with yoga, living yoga, helped me to recognize lessons, recognize how I feel, how I would like to feel. But the most important, stop changing myself even. Because, some people, they say, okay, why you need to learn lessons? Because you need to learn from lessons and stop doing that. I said, I thought the same before, but now I think lessons we have to get know yourself better. That's it. And love yourself despite, because who told you that the things that you are doing, it's wrong? It's the same as with the moving here to Scotland. Only when we received with my husband the offer to go for work for 1 year in Scotland, I remembered that passion test. And number 3, my passion, go with my husband somewhere abroad to work and to experience life in other country. And they said, wow, 2 years ago, I put on the piece of paper this sentence, and it came without even thinking about this, because I forget right away about that. So, and again, and you say, you wanted to do that, and it happened, and you cannot refuse it. You cannot say, no, now I don't want, I'm afraid it's too complicated, maybe I am too old, or I have, no. It's a flow. So this chance came, and you have to use it, because new lessons will come and new experience will come. And if you're a teacher and you're afraid to stop teaching and go for your life, then you will become empty one day. You have to learn to teach. So you have to experience to share. And this is how it flows between people in the universe. And sorry, I'm just maybe talk too much.
No, not at all. I think this is actually really fascinating, Ruta. And I'm really grateful that I feel like you're really just sharing everything, just so open-heartedly, all your thoughts and the journey and what you've been learning along the way, which I think is incredible, about living in the flow, muting your mind, what it's like to experience perfectionism and the pressures that causes. I know that I've been, that's one of my things I've worked through as well, as anxiety and perfectionism. And it's I don't know, they're just big beasts, big giant animals.
Yeah.
So yoga is in the whole tradition, all of the pranayama, the breathing, just learning to tap in and slow down the breath and just be aware when my breath gets out of control, when I start to breathe way too quickly, or I lose track of where my breath even is and start breathing very shallow. It's just even that small awareness that yoga has taught me has really translated into just better mental health and loving myself and actually accepting kind of and letting things flow through me versus resisting them so much.
Yeah. And all these new practices, for example, like Yoga Nidra in Lithuania, even in bigger cities, we have yoga studios, many of them maybe. But when I practice Yoga Nidra, everyone was like, what is that? I don't know what is that. Maybe this is like a hypnosis or something. So I said, no, you have to try it. And so I also made it in Lithuanian because I couldn't find it in Lithuanian. And my teacher in Rishikesh, my meditation teacher, shared with me some recording. I also have a book about Yoga Nidra. So I have in the book, like written in English, some Yoga Nidra meditation text. So I went to the music studio and I made a track, like, recorded in a professional way. So no bad sounds or not, very clear, very, very relaxing music and my words with echo. And so, I was using that as a gift for people. So they were surprised, like for Christmas. And even people who do not do yoga or practice yoga or know yoga, they're using this Yoga Nidra. And they said, some of them were going to sleep with that all the time. So we become quiet and again, people shall know all these tools. Yoga is also a tool to life. If you use everything, then you can live. So this is why just asanas for me, it's not full life. It's a part of life for your physical body. But later on, it came that, I wanted to do my practice, asana practice, to get into meditation because I found that during the practice, I can get even deeper into the meditative state than during meditation.
Well, I think you've answered every question I've had, and you even answered them without me asking. I didn't even have to ask you, tell me about yoga in Lithuania or describe what it's like to, teach in Lithuania. I think that you really just spoke so eloquently and beautifully, and I'm really grateful for the time we've spent together, Ruta. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily.
So if any of our listeners today had any questions about what Ashtanga Yoga is or what Yoga Nidra is, you can find more information on that in the show notes. And if any of our listeners, Ruta, would like to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
I'm on Facebook, just Ruta Keriane. Yeah, so they can contact me just if they want just to get in touch and talk and maybe ask questions.
Perfect. Thank you. This has been just a beautiful conversation. And once again, thank you, Ruta.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening to my conversation with Ruta Keriane from Lithuania. She is so wise, and even though she's new to the practice or newer, just been practicing for 2 years and then immediately opened her own yoga studio after getting trained and had only taken one yoga class before getting trained. I mean, her journey is just so fascinating, but the wisdom that she's acquired through yoga, she really translates to all of her students in Lithuania. So if you have any questions or would like to get in touch, please do so. I'm linking to all her information in the show notes. So thank you for being with me. I know how busy you are. I know how precious your time is. So thank you once again for tuning in to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'll see you next week. Remember to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you feel called, please share this episode with someone that you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. If you're on social media, I am there too at the Wild Yoga Tribe. You can tap into all the amazing resources on my website, thewildyogatribe.com, and you can meditate with me on Insight Timer and get your flow on with me on my YouTube channel, where I've recorded free yoga classes. If you would like to schedule a private yoga or meditation class with me or a coaching session, you can find the link to do so to book in the show notes or on my website, again, thewildyogatribe.com. Thank you once again, dear listener, for being with me. May your day be light and bright. May you be peaceful and happy and led on the right path, free of suffering and free of sorrow. Be well, dear one.